Welcome back to Fashion here. So moving on to fourth in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes. Now, for Mercedes' start to the 2024 F1 season, things have definitely not gone to plan. Starting in February, Lewis Hamilton announced he was leaving the team, going to Ferrari for 2025, and things haven't really gotten better since then. So, first taking a look at their race-by-race results. First race of the season, Bahrain, Russell 5th, Hamilton 7th. Next time out in Saudi Arabia, Russell 6th, Hamilton 9th. Australia, certainly a real low point for the team. Russell, of course, crashed on the last lap after Alonso had a creative choice of defense there. And for Hamilton, of course, retired with an engine failure, no fault of his own, of course. Then we get to Japan, Russell 7th, Hamilton 9th. China, Russell 6th, Hamilton 9th. And then we get to last time out in Miami, Hamilton 6th and Russell in 8th. So no podium so far for Mercedes this season. Definitely a real dry spell for the team there. And yeah, things have definitely not been well. When we look at the race head-to-head, bit of a surprise, but that being said, with Hamilton leaving the team at the end of the year, I'm not entirely surprised that it's gone this way. So for points head-to-head, Russell has the advantage there, 37 points to 26. For average finishing position, Russell has the advantage there as well, 7.43 to 8.29 for Hamilton. And a lot of that finishing position difference can be explained by the differences in where they're starting. So for starting position, Russell 7.88, Hamilton 9.38. So a difference of exactly 1.5 positions, which is the biggest it's been in their basically two and a bit years of being teammates. Qualifying head-to-head 5-1 in the main qualifying sessions with an average qualifying gap of 0.119, so just over a tenth of a second in favor of Russell. For context, last year it was 0.034, 0.03 of a second in favor of Hamilton. So definitely a big swing in the qualifying gap between the two of them. And that's definitely contributing to that difference in average finishing position. Hamilton's really struggled, or I wouldn't say really struggled. I mean, I would say Stroll's definitely struggled more, but definitely relative to his very high expectations for himself. I'm sure Hamilton, of course, has high expectations for himself, but compared to the very lofty expectations for Hamilton, he's definitely struggled in qualifying compared to how he normally would. Now, when we look at the points above expected, the expected points model, this of course is just for the Grand Prix results, so we'll not include Hamilton's result from the sprint in China. So for Russell, negative 4.53, Hamilton, negative 8.44. So both of them in the negatives there. For Russell, 89, and if you convert those into percentages, for Russell, 89%, and for Hamilton, 70%. Of course, the double DNF that they had in Australia definitely did not help there. Now, for Mercedes, looking at their results as a constructor, 2022, the first year of the new regulations, 515 points at the end of the year, finished third in the constructors. A pretty strong end to the year, of course, winning in Brazil. After the first quarter of the season, they had 95 points. Average pole gap 0.793, so that ranked third. For 2023, 409 points, 96 points after the first quarter of the season, so very similar to 2022, and they ended up finishing second in the constructors. Despite the fact that they were never really the second fastest car at any consistent point in that year. The starter was Aston Martin. In the middle, it was sometimes Ferrari, sometimes McLaren, and then towards the end, it was really McLaren and Ferrari kind of trading it back and forth. But through sheer consistency, they basically ended up in second. Average pole gap 0.459, which ranked third. So the average pole gap definitely improved from 2022 to 2023. Fortunately, this year, not the case. So for after the first quarter of the season, 64 points, definitely lower than 2022, definitely lower than 2023. And then in the constructors, are currently sitting fourth, even behind their own engine, basically their engine customer, McLaren. Average pole gap 0.626 seconds, so it's increased a bit from last year, about 0.2 of a second or so, and that ranks fifth. So behind Red Bull, of course, behind Ferrari, behind McLaren, and behind Aston Martin. So technically behind two engine customers, which will definitely hurt for Toto Wolff. And honestly, from here, I'm not really sure what you do. I think for Mercedes, the reality is the rest of this year, 2025, are pretty much a write-off. I don't really see the team competing for a championship. Definitely not this year, and almost certainly not next year as well. And of course, the other story is that they have that empty seat for next year that they have to fill. So, and that's definitely going to be a storyline that will be continuing probably until the summer. And well, of course, there's a lot of speculation that Antonelli will be the favorite for that seat. I think there's quite a few other drivers who would love to be in that seat as well. So there you go. There's my analysis of Mercedes' first quarter of the 2024 season. Definitely a bit of a struggle. They really struggled to understand the aerodynamic side of these regulations, as the engines are basically frozen. So it's really just an aerodynamic championship. Yeah, but really struggled to understand the ground effect cars and make consistent gains the way some of the other teams like McLaren have, or even Ferrari. While they did have their struggles with the TD39 in Belgium 2022, they've shown that since then they've at least been able to build forwards. Whereas with Mercedes, they're not. That really hasn't been the case. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.